the Tongva peoples as the traditional land caretakers of the Tovangar, Los Angeles Basin, southern, Channel Islands, and are grateful to have the opportunity to work for the indigenous peoples in this place. As a land grant institution, we pay our respects to the ancestors, the elders, and our relatives, past, present, and emerging. And for CCCP Black Lives Matter statement to our students and colleagues in the Black community and across the diaspora, we stand with you. You are valued and an important member of our campus and off-campus family. We all need to acknowledge the challenges and work to change them. We must work together as people of color and allies, people who are concerned about our future to eliminate these systematic disparities. We take a stand today and always because Black lives matter.
CCCP condemns hateful acts of violence, harassment, and rhetoric targeting Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and Desi Americans. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been an alarming increase in the discrimination and violence perpetrated on the APIDA community. These acts of violence are nothing new. We are disturbed by these xenophobic, racially motivated attacks. CCCP stands in solidarity with all our students, colleagues, and community partners who experience marginalization and threats. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Ariel, who will be leading us in a small exercise honoring our ancestors.
Yeah, so today we want to make sure that we are, honoring our ancestors, those who have walked with us and continue to walk with us, those who are here present in this space with us today, our ancestors who were brought to this land, brought to this country without any choice, and have experienced the traumas of this country, and also our ancestors who continue to have resilience and strength and fill us with strength, resilience, and love, and continue to guide us through our everyday lives. So we want to make sure that we are honoring them. And we also wanted to know, who are you honoring here today? You can put it in the chat who you might be honoring. Today, I'm going to be honoring my grandfather. I always love honoring my grandfather. I find a lot of strength from my grandfather. He passed on many years ago, but I always look to him. I speak to him a lot, and I just gain a lot of strength and love and everything from him, and the passion that I have for what it is that I do comes from him. So again, if you want to put anyone that you're honoring today, or that you might be with today at this webinar, or who you just are surrounded by every day, you can make sure that you put their name or who they are in the chat. All right, so we have Riha's mom, Tiara's little brother, Dominique. Oh, hi, Dominique. Dominique's grandmother, Brooke's great aunt, Nanny. All right, awesome. I feel like the space having a lot more like strength and spirit up in here. So thank you so much for honoring everyone. Oh, Santi. Santi's dad is Poppy. Frederick's late grandfather. Diamond, hello, Diamond's aunt. All right, awesome. Brandon's grandma and the late great Dr. Calandras. Yes, may she rest in peace. Within our emoji community has made such a great strive and effort. So thank you. Thank you everyone who's been putting who you're honoring in the chat. You can continue to do so throughout the rest of the presentation and everything, but we will be moving on. But thank you. All right, so next we are going to introduce our CCP STP, which stands for Summer Transfer Program, our Black Site team. I'll get started since I'm first there. My name is Ariel. I'm so happy to see some familiar faces here. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the program coordinator for CCP, overseeing our partnerships with West Los Angeles College and LA Southwest College, and of course for STP and Black Site. I transferred from Pasadena City College to UCLA, and I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. And I'm really excited to be here. It's really filling my heart. And I'll pass this over to Aurelia.
Thanks, Ariel. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aurelia Reimer. I'm the STEM Program Coordinator for CCCP. I'm also working along an amazing team with helping with facilitating today. And so I got my Bachelor's of Science in Anthropology from UCLA, transferred from Santa Monica College, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Just want to also let you know that I'm fighting allergies today, so I'll have my cameras off because I don't want to be like blowing my nose in front of you guys. So I apologize for that in advance. And then I will also be putting the links in the chat from some of the topics that we'll be discussing today. So please keep an eye out for the links I will be sharing in the chat.
And hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Washington. I am a peer advisor for STP or Black Site. Transferred from Chaffey College with an AA in communications. I'm currently a linguistics major here at UCLA, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Colbert, if you want to, feel fancy. I transferred from Valley College in 2019, and I graduated with a degree in African American Studies and a film minor in 2021. So just recently, I'm the current program coordinator at Valley, and it's great to see some of the Valley students present today.
All right, everybody. My name is Sophie. I'm the Pasadena City College Program Coordinator. I transferred to UCLA in 2019 from Los Angeles Pierce College. I majored in English, minored in African American Studies. My pronouns are she, her, they, and I'm so happy to be here and share space with y'all.
All right, so I'm going to be briefly discussing what CCCP is and what our program STP/Black Site is. So the Center for Community College Partnership works to increase the academic preparation and competitiveness of community college transfer students, particularly those who are first generation, low income, or historically underrepresented. For example, Black, Native, Indigenous, Pacific Islander, formerly incarcerated, system impacted, queer, transgender, etc., to support their transfer to four-year universities such as the University of California. CCCP also helped community colleges to develop a transfer sending culture and the university to develop a transfer receptive culture. Additionally, students in our program will have access to the services that we offer, so assistance with their application once they're ready to transfer, and will be assigned a student peer advisor such as Brandon, who will share their experience through the transfer process and assist you with anything you would need. So I will be putting the link to our interest form in the chat. So if you're interested, if you're not already a student in our program, we call our students scholars. So if you're not already a scholar in our program and you're interested in becoming a scholar for next academic year, please fill out the link in the chat that I just put that's titled interest form. And so moving on, what is STP? So, focusing on the history, education pipeline, and resources available to Black African American students, STP Summer Transfer Program, now Black Site, provides students with the tools necessary to understand how to navigate community colleges and transfer to a four-year university, such as a University of California. STP works to provide a space for Black scholars where they can find community support and empowerment through their educational journey. So this is literally what we're working on today, and we will be doing more events like this in the future. So welcome, and we hope to see you guys again. Even though that's not the end, we're still going. So anyway, that was not the benediction.
And so now we're going to be moving on for our agenda for today's program. Obviously, we already went through the welcome. Soon, very shortly, our keynote speakers will be coming in. We'll be having a roundtable panel, which I am a part of, just to throw that in there. Guided meditation from 3:40 to 4:10, and then we'll be closing and having a raffle announcement from 4 to 4:15.
All right, y'all, so we're gonna be heading into our keynote. Thank you so much for being here and waiting patiently. I'm sorry we're running late. That's totally on me. I got the times mixed up. I'm sorry about that. But we have Nathaniel and Frederick here as our keynotes. Just like really brief overview, because y'all did a lot. Nathaniel went to Norco College, transferred to UCSB, got degrees in psychology, humanities, philosophy and arts, social and behavioral studies, math and science, and communication, media, and languages from Norco, and is currently a major in psychological and brain science and sociology, with a minor in applied psychology. And then we have Frederick. Ariel, did you want to?
Yeah, sure. And we also have Frederick. So Frederick's pronouns are he, him, his. He transferred from Norco College to UC San Diego and will be graduating next year. Frederick has received degrees in psychology and communications from Norco, and he is currently majoring in psychology. And I will let them both take it away to kind of do a more in-depth introduction and get started with their keynote.
Yes, thank you all so much. And thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to speak to you all. Once again, yes, my name is Nathaniel Elo, pronouns he, him, his, and I'm a fifth year transfer student at the University of California, Santa Barbara, double majoring in psychological and brain science and sociology with an applied psych minor. And I'm also joined today with my brother in arms, you know what I'm saying, my Ghanaian brother as well.
Hello, everybody. My name is Frederick Ekibon. Like my Nigerian brother Nate, I transferred from Norco College. I came to UCSD 2020 of fall, and I'm currently majoring in psychology over there. But yeah, we're kind of excited to go ahead and speak on some mental health stuff going on in our community. So.
Yes. So without further ado, allow me to share my screen real quick so that way we can provide you all with more in-depth information in terms of how to protect your mental health, what exactly is mental health, and everything that surrounds just the human psyche as well. Oh, I think y'all seeing my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Please let me widen it up. So my brother Fred, would you like to start off with the agenda?
Yeah, so we made a little agenda. First off, we'll be defining mental health, sort of the academic portion and the social definition, and then our personal experience with COVID impacting our mental health, and then some SAMHSA data on Black students' mental health, and then just some ways on dealing with mental health. So next slide.
Yes.
All right, so what is mental health? Well, the academic definition, according to WHO, the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of well-being which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work through productively. Nate, we could, I'll thank you. Okay. You're good. Can cope with normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make contribution to his or her community. Now, when it comes to the social definition, when it comes to our community, usually you'll see phrases like self-care, or you hear somebody say I'm just taking care of my mentals, or when it comes to us checking in, you might hear a phrase like, "Oh, you good? You all right?" So those are just some phrases and some, terminologies that we usually, or people usually hear within our community.
Thank you. Just to piggyback off of what Fred was saying as well, just in terms of just understanding like our mental health, it also includes our emotional, physical, and psychological, social as well, well-being. And I think one thing a lot of people need to understand is that when it comes to our mental health, it ultimately affects the way in which we think, the way in which we feel, and the way in which we are able to act. Act towards ourselves and act towards other people as well within the society in which we live in. It can also help to determine, ways in which we're able to handle stress that comes within our lifestyles, and how we release other people, and how it may affect the choices that we tend to make in life. And so overall, just understanding like our mental health, it is extremely important to understand that at every stage in our life, from childhood to adulthood as well, it's best to protect your mental health in multiple ways. And we're gonna go take a little deeper dive into that as well. So Fred, if I may inquire with you, my brother, with everything that you've gone through from NERCO up to UCSD, like what has your personal experience been like?
When it comes to mental health, I mean, this was right when the vaccines had started to come out. So UCSD was one of the first schools to that the state approved of having students on campus. So right off the jump, I was just like, all right, bet I'm gonna go. I went there. There was I think around like 10,000 students on campus, whereas like today I think it's like 80,000. But um, I moved into my dorm. Classes were strictly online. You had to get a COVID test in like I think every week. And then if you got COVID, they would send you to a hotel, like a school built hotel. They would quarantine your whole dorm and everything, and you would have to self isolate. Fortunately, I didn't get COVID out there. I had some friends that did, and that was a whole nother can of worms that they had to deal with. But going back to mental health, I mean, I wasn't expecting, you know, some of the trials and tribulations that I went through. Like, I wasn't expecting to run into some huge problems. I mean, the first thing that I experienced was just burnout, just waking up, hopping on Zoom, just sitting there for like hours upon end. Like my school and work environment was basically the same, which is why I sort of burnt out. And then on top of that, it was really hard trying to find like a social life because everybody was like quarantined and isolated. And I was able to, form a little friend group, mainly my neighbors. But when it came to like other stuff, like, Black groups and whatnot, I really struggled to find my peoples out there. But that was mainly it. I mean, it did get to a point where I was like waking up like 2 minutes before Zoom classes and whatnot, which wasn't really good. I wasn't sleeping on time and everything, but that was mainly it. It's just me experiencing burnout.
Yeah, I mean, I faced similar experience, but I transferred before COVID had happened. Graduated from NERCO 2019, got to UCSB, and so my experience was, in case many people don't know, I was very involved back when I was at NERCO College. You know what I'm saying? Being involved within the Moja program, AS, being involved within Phoenix Scholar, which is a foster care program. I felt like I was very tapped in, or at least I try to be very tapped in my institution. But I think for me personally, when transferring from a small institution to where everybody was really knowing who I was, knowing my name, to transfer to an institution that's bigger than me, it got pretty hard in my situation. One being that I've now transferred to a predominantly white institution, so I see a lack of presence of those of my color around my surroundings. But not only just that, just trying to find like support spaces on campus or networking opportunities or just connections, it was pretty hard. It was really hard. It was very hard as well. And so I started to develop the imposter syndrome. You know what I'm saying? That sense of that internal experience or sense of belonging, feeling like I'm not as competent as other people that's within the same classroom settings as myself, or just that are attending the same institution as myself as well, which ultimately led me to just be inside of my room pretty much every day, go to class, just go back home, not socialize with anybody. And then that's when COVID hit, and that hit me a little bit harder as well. And so moving out of my institution to now, like, okay, I can't even be inside of my housing anymore. You have to leave. It's like, where can I go now? And so that's been my experience, you know what I'm saying? And Zoom fatigue definitely catches up to people after a while. Just sitting here in front of a screen all day, it gets extremely tiring, But just with these personal experience that you and I have both have gone through, and I know we're not the only ones that tend to go through situations like these. There are multiple people within the society or within this world that go through their fair shares of personal experience when it comes to this mental fatigue or a decline within like their mental experiences as well. It leads into the next slide that we're going to be talking about is if you see someone going through like situations that we may have went through, how do you tap in with them, So So as mentioned on the screen, as seen on the screen, if you ever see a friend that, that radiates positivity on a daily basis, that's now like has a personality that's a little bit more dull, just ask them, walk up to them like, hey, is everything okay? I haven't heard from you in a while. Just wanted to know, just wanted to check up on you, see how you're doing. And just letting them know that you're here for them no matter what. As following, let's talk when you get the chance. Because there are multiple times, and I know I fell victim to this as well, where before COVID had happened, I was very lively. I got to UCSB. I started to distance myself from a lot of people. And when COVID had ultimately hit, it was kind of like a wow, I'm not around my friends anymore. I don't really want to talk to anybody no more. So I started to distance myself from a lot of people, and ultimately, in a way, just not talk to nobody anymore. Like, I just wanted to be by myself. I couldn't be outside. COVID's around. COVID's at all-time high. I've had a lot of people pass away from COVID too. So that ultimately put me in a very dark circle. Not wanting to be around anybody because I just felt like, wow, I keep losing people time after time. I don't want to lose anybody else. So I'm just gonna not attach myself to anybody. But even like the second part where it says, have you checked in with the person, hey, X, Y, Z, I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm getting this vibe that you might be going through a lot. Please don't be afraid to reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad for people like that. Whenever you're going through something, you're going through a situation, they're there to check upon you and know to see like, how have you been mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually as well? So Fred, even when it comes to next slide, how do you deal with mental health?
I mean, this was even before when I went into the pandemic. I mean, when I was at Narco and I was getting ready for that big transition, right? How we were talking about transitions early on today. I utilized the campus resource. I was just like, as a student, obviously you within your financial package or out of pocket, you pay student fees, and some of those students' fees can include mental health resources. So I utilized those. I went to the health services building and I booked an appointment with the professional therapist. That's why I put it as number one. It's just seeking professional help. Like at the end of the day, these are highly trained professionals that deal with that sort of stuff, that deal with like disorders like ADHD and PTSD and anxiety and depression. So I went ahead and did that. And while I was at Narco, I think every semester you get, 6 free sessions. So I utilized all of those, like spring. I don't think summer, but spring, fall, winter. I utilized all those sessions, and it really helped out. And then I did the same thing at UCSD, but it was online. But nonetheless, it still helped. So now, when it came to other sort of stuff, I also journaled. This is something that our mentor, Anita Bailey, told us to do because we had done so much at Norco College that sometimes we forget to pat ourselves on the back, and just to sort of like draw a timeline for yourself. And obviously exercising. When it comes to that, that's mainly like the biopsychology aspect. You have a whole bunch of serotonin pumping through you, getting your testosterone levels up, so you're not, depressed and whatnot, which is especially really important during COVID since there was a lack of, I think there was a study on vitamin D deficiency, so which was also causing a lot of depression. And then changing your environment. This is something that I realized that was like super important because I would just wake up, literally wash my face and then get on the computer. And then like, I would be super like upset and just irritated. I'd be like, I don't want to be here. Like my body was even telling me like, yo, like get up and go outside. So then I started like going to cafes and just, plugging in my computer and just being in Zoom lectures. So, and that helped a lot. I would hear people riding their bikes, and then the sun was obviously hitting my back too. So, and then the last one is just reaching out to family and friends. I mean, I know when it comes to Black men, like you can't ask them directly, like they're not gonna tell you. Like if you ask them like, oh, how's your mental health doing? They're not gonna tell you. Like, like you really have to like really slide in like, hey, come, let's go on a walk, or like, let's get something to eat. This is something that Nate has done to me before. So, and this is something that my friend Diamond has done to me before too. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Man, I really appreciate you sharing all that too, man. Like, and for those in the chat, I see you guys are going crazy in there. If you all can provide ways in which you guys, different methods that you guys do to help cope with like mental issues that you guys may be facing, or help you guys, seek this positive, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual change in which you're looking for, please type them in the chat because I'm always looking for new ways. I'm very big when it says to exercise, and I'm very big on that. Playing basketball has always been a key thing for me, to be honest with you. I mean, what can I say? A lot of people said I could have made it to NBA. Who knows? Saying here we are, major in psychological and brain science and understanding the it's like. But I really appreciate you sharing all that stuff. So I definitely intend on implementing a lot of these into my life. But going on, even like just taking it a step further, Fred, I didn't get to share with you. I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and I moved over here to California. So one change of environment is definitely key for me because I was already going through my own issues in New York. Came over here, changed my environment. Now I'm going through another stuff. So it's like I got to go to new places too. Which leads me to go on the Riverside. So please, man, if you're ever looking for some help and you're in the Riverside area, there's a Riverside hotline, or they call it helpline at 951-686-4354. Or if it's a little bit more deeper than that, what I'm saying, you're looking for someone to express your issue, not necessarily issues, but what you're facing. This is suicide prevention lifeline at 800-273-8255. There's a mental health urgent care at 951-509-2499, and a CARES line 800-706-7500. So we'll be leaving this up for the next 1 minute or so before we move on to the next slide. So that way you guys can either write these numbers down or even take pictures of the slide as well, And please, as I mentioned in the chat, I'm definitely looking at, both this slide and the chat, looking for ways in order to like help me find methods to deal with my own mental health, new ways, to be honest with you. So please keep on sharing. It's amazing. We're gonna leave it up for like 10 more seconds. And here we are, Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. We are open and honest about anything and everything. And as we have this Q&A up, we will be sharing another slide, another picture, to be honest with you, which is a flyer.
So this was taken from, this is data done by SAMHSA. If I can sound out the full acronym, it's I think the substance abuse, it's a substance abuse organization. So as you can see here, 50% of Black students receive no education on mental health issues prior to college, which is actually shocking. And this is like when I see data like this, it motivates me and Nate, and I'm sure like all my other, psych majors, that we need to really push for mental health and educate our generation, the previous generation, and generation that's going to come after us on taking care of our mental health. And then if you look at the, students of color compared to white students, report higher rates of emotional distress in their freshman year and of keeping their difficulties to themselves. That's like a red flag right there. Because once you keep all those burdens to yourselves, it just piles up on you. And then you go into a depression, and then that depression leads into isolation. And then that's when you start to get into those dangerous state of minds. And then there's a stigma, reluctance to seek help for mental health needs, and cultural mistrust of mental health professionals. are barriers that often lead to suffering in silence. So I know there's a really big stigma when it comes to Black men. I can tell you as a first generation Ghanaian, like that's non-existent to African dads. Like that's non-existent. Like you ask them, they're gonna tell you to go somewhere.
Go read a book.
But that's gonna change. That's gonna change with my generation. All my brothers out there, we're gonna be all right, and we're gonna change that. So maybe if you could scroll down a little bit.
Yes, of course, my brother. I got you.
So previously, Nate had mentioned something about imposter syndrome. These are some other syndromes that Black students experience. Tokenism, I've experienced that. It was super weird at UCSD. Like I remember I was hanging out with some of my Beach Boy friends, and they were playing like 21 Savage, and they were like looking at me. I'm like, yeah, y'all want me to, you know what I'm saying? Like, what y'all want me to do? I'm saying, moralization, the overlooking of achievements by underrepresented students of color. That's something that's we're constantly going to be dealing with. But at the end of the day, it's just something that we need to, just push past, and then that's why I talked about journaling and writing down your achievements and your experiences, because it's important. Like they shouldn't be overlooked, especially for our people. Like we're not supposed to be here, but yet we're out here shining and rising. So, Nate, if you want to scroll down to the third page, and you can jump in on this.
Definitely, my brother. So just reading off what the flyer is mentioning as well, so that way we all have full context in regards to what it's saying. Students reported that anxiety and depression are amongst the biggest factors that negatively impact their academic performance. 42% of participants said that they felt so depressed in the past year, it was difficult for them to function. And so I like in the chat, as we're continuing to engage within this conversation, a lot of people are still providing ways in which they're able to cope or deal with mental health issues, or not necessarily mental issues or problems, but just ways they're able to like find that sanctuary or that peace in which they're trying to look for. Somebody mentioned music. I'm very big on music as well. I'm more of an R&B Drake type of individual. So you throw some Drake on, you automatically just got me in a good mood, got me in that place of peace. So that's me personally. Taking it a step further, 1 in 4 students reported having suicidal thoughts. Next, students that have experienced mental health problems, 42% is overall. And in 40, you see that in 40% of African Americans and 53% in Arabs and Arab Americans. So taking it even a step further down, as mentioned, this slide is actually mentioned within the group chat as well. So in case you're interested in reading it or providing, looking for more information, you guys can click on the link as well in the group chat, and it'll take you to the same exact flyer. So that way you guys can read on it as well. And just lastly, just students of colors are half as likely to seek counseling service as their white counterpart. And so I know people were mentioning therapy within this chat multiple times. That's even for myself as well. Trying to seek therapy has always been hard, because I know for me, I would want to see somebody. If it's I was going to seek therapy, I would like to see someone of color to be there for me. And I feel like that's an issue that a lot of people don't necessarily understand. But when pairing us up with a therapist, I just believe that's just for me personally. And if you agree with me, I would love that. If you don't, hey, personal preference. But I know for me personally, when seeking a therapist, I'd really love to be with someone that understands the Black struggles in which I face on a daily basis. But not only just that, I just think representation really matters to me personally and puts me at a better place. But yes, opening it back up to the Q&A, does anybody have any questions? We'd love to open up the floor to everyone and anybody to speak their mind or speak their piece in terms of what they have gone through or ways in which they've coped, or just anyone that just wants to express themselves within this setting or within this location as well.
Yeah, and feel free to unmute your mic and access any questions. And then obviously, for our CCCP moderators could guide us on any questions within the chat. That'd be much appreciated.
Thank you. Ariel put it best in the group chat though. She said that R&B. Oh my goodness, man. Put some Drake on. Just some Drake, man. Some Alicia Keys. He don't know my, she don't know my, you don't know my.
You trying to get in your feelings, bro.
Oh man, they got me. I'm gonna start crying and just thinking about it, man. I'm like,
Nah, it's not even in your feelings. It's just the music be hitting. Like you don't even gotta be feeling the way. You just be like, baby, 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 like.
Got me in my feelings already. I'm like, man, I ain't even trying to start crying on this Zoom call, man.
Sounds like Nate and Frederick should have been the ones making our playlist, but
oh yeah,
I played.
Yeah.
Nah, Fred, I came inside here, man. They started playing that thing. That was Beyonce. I said, hold on, what? I started dancing.
I was like, whoa, okay, we coming in like this. All right.
Coming in high.
Oh my God. But yeah, in the chat, everyone's just kind of been supportive. We just kind of been discussing in the chat. I see Kevin had put down and support for R&B, talked about Alicia, Drake, and also Draco. May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yes, I loved his music. How was so sad. And Kevin also put Sade. Okay, Kevin coming with the heat.
Dang, that's old school. Sweetest Taboo.
Okay.
It's a life go crazy. Oh my.
All right, I do have a question for you all. And again, if any of y'all had questions for our two amazing panelists, you can put them in the chat or you can unmute. But my first one, I know that y'all kind of touched on this already, but what kind of led you to this work? And even for this specific webinar, what was the reason why you said yes to even discussing this topic today?
Yeah, my brother, you can go first, my brother.
I appreciate it. What led me to this work? I mean, the number one thing that led me to this work was the underrepresentation of just Black mental health professionals. That's something that shouldn't be overlooked, because a lot of the times, especially people in our community, like if we don't see people in those positions, like we're going to be less inclined to go seek help. Because I've heard this multiple times, especially from my peers, like they don't want to go into let's say a non-person colored office and then talk about their Black experience, and then the person sitting there like, oh, I can't relate to you. I don't know what's going on. And then number two, it was just changing, sort of like trying to change that generational trauma that I had within my family. And then also some of the statistics that I saw on a day-to-day basis. I mean, like even now, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, Black men have really suffered from it. Like their suicide rate has gone up like by 40%, which is just heartbreaking to me. So there's a lot of work to be done in the future, especially on me and Nate's and then many others. So that's the thing that kind of fuels me towards that, and that's why I'm striving to be a psychology professor and clinical psychologist. So, but I'll pass it to my Nigerian brother.
Yes. Thank you. For me personally, growing up in the Bronx, New York, and with everything that I had endured when living out there, I said, I needed a change of environment. And so it's kind of like that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air story, Came over here, moved to California, and went through what I was going through. So originally, when I moved out here to California, to be honest with you, I was majoring in engineering. But I think just, long story short, because of my living circumstances and with everything that I was going through when living with the people I was living with out here, it wasn't the best for me personally. And every day I just woke up sad. So I started majoring in psychology because what led to me, what happened was that it was just the way I was thinking, like, how could people do what they do? Why do people think the way that they think and move the way that they move? And so I was just doing psychology. So the reason why I wanted to be here today to speak on behalf of topics like this is because, don't get me wrong, like someone speaking on this topic that could be older than us is nice, but just the youth growing up to be adults, so we're still young men growing up. And so conversations like this, it just goes to show how much we're willing to learn and how much we're willing to provide to our own peers as well, so that way we could help educate those that are around our age, and to for those that may be older than us as well, to see how much we've learned thus far from our studies as well. You know what I'm saying? And plus, just protecting yourself, just mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, has always been key for me. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, you know, if you don't protect yourself mentally, everything, your whole aura is just disrupted. And so as long as you're able to protect your mental, you know, it ultimately, you can uplift everything else within yourself as well.
Thank you. And I want to sidestep for a little. I'm just so excited to see the beautiful representation that we have from our diaspora up in the building. We got Ghana and we got Nigeria. I love it. I know that from Brandon, we got Guatemala, we got Jamaica. I know from Aurelia, I'm so sorry, I'm not gonna pick the wrong one. I'm not gonna say it, but but yeah, I just love to see that. And I also want to go back to what you both had kind of touched on. Can you go dive a little bit deeper into Black mental health, especially as it pertains to Black men? What do you think is the most important thing to focus on in order to nurture your mental health, or even to just like start off those conversations to begin talking about it?
You went. I went first last time, my Nigerian brother. So you go ahead and take this one. I seen that look in your eyes.
So yeah, you got it. You got it. No, I got you most definitely. So just to touch on what Fred had briefly what Fred briefly mentioned about, and this just comes from my own experience and growing up in an African household. Even with my mom and my dad as well, when it comes to expressing your feelings, or when it comes to just, you know, checking in on you or just seeing how you're doing, you know, what I'm asking them is, you know, why do you care? Or, you know, why you asking me as such, you know, read your books. And so I know for me, you know, growing up in my own household back in New York, you know, I used to be bullied by my brothers and sisters. You know, it's crazy because I mean, it happens far too often. My mom views it as tough love. But I think just for me, everybody's different the way in which they really view things. And so the way in which I grew up with my brothers and sisters bullying me, I used to express that to my mom and my pops a lot. But they always tend to just deflect the way I was feeling my own emotions. So I was always left within my own world and my own circle, which led to me just developing anxiety in which I like the way in which I speak to other people. Because then in my head, it's like, are they going to perceive this as something that I'm not perceiving it as? Um, so when it comes to me and just me expressing just how I feel, it's like, man, sometimes I fear doing so because I don't want another individual to perceive what I'm trying to say the wrong way. So I'd much rather just keep in how I feel, keep in whatever is going through my mind, rather than expressing it to the next individual. So that way they don't perceive it the wrong way. And then, you know, on top of that, even with my anxiety, it kind of led me to, I'm not gonna lie, even with this conversation that we're having right now, I'm over here sweating through my armpits. I'm sweating like crazy, man. It's kind of getting pretty scared, man. Like, the conversation like this needs to be had. You know what I'm saying? So our voices matter. All of our voices matter. You know, so that's me personally. When it comes to expressing my emotions, I get scared a lot, but at the same time, if I don't express my emotions, I'm stuck within this dark world of feeling how I feel and being stuck in my own head, you know?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, my brother. Like for real. Like I feel you on that one when it comes to the anxiety thing too. But yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what you said, like yeah, I mean that's something that I noticed too, especially like in the African community and just in the Black community in general, when it comes to just men like not really expressing how they feel, which is why it's such a huge problem. But I mean, with you and us on the way to that professional realm, that's going to change. But to talk a little bit about my personal experience, I mean, when I went through sort of like a mental health crisis during like, I think this is right after I had graduated from high school, I started really taking notice of like some of the thoughts that were coming in and like where they were coming from. And I sort of got curious as to like, you know, as to why those, you know, fears and anxieties and whatnot was, sort of like why they were dominating my day-to-day life. And then I started journaling, and I started doing that inner self work. Something that most, I guess, Black men don't really want to do, because like you have to really like reflect on like some of the stuff that you've said, which might be like terrible to other people. Some of and you also have to take accountability for yourself as well. So then that eventually just led me into just, going into that field and saying like, hey, like this is, it helped me. So imagine how many brothers out there that need that same sort of self-work too. So, and in any way I can help people reach that area in their lives, I'll do it. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel that anxiety, Nathaniel. Like when y'all were doing your presentation, I was like, I'm feeling attacked. Like, what is going on here? Like, it's so accurate. But I do have a question, and you both kind of touched on it. But what has been your experience navigating any tropes or stereotypes such as masculinity as it pertains to mental health?
Well, when it comes to, I believe your question, you said when it pertains to masculinity and when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, that like intersection of how masculinity is perceived and stereotyped.
Oh, one of the stereotypes is like, this is something that I think is very common and shown in media, is that like you're basically like a wussy if you like express how you feel, you know. And if you talk about your emotions and feelings, and if you don't process them correctly, like you're like that's more feminine, like don't do that. Whereas in reality, that's just you taking care of yourself, and then that's just you being an adult, like you're not, a little kid anymore that can, not properly communicate how you feel to another person. Now, there are cases where, like Nathaniel had mentioned, where you do grow up in an environment where that's like traumatizing, and that prevents you from doing that. But yeah, that's some of the stereotypes I've come across within my family. My very, very African male family. Like if you express how you feel, that's disrespect, or you're a wussy. So but I'm the new generation, and that's basically gonna stop with me. So the generation that comes after me is gonna I will instill those values and skills on ways to properly express how you feel, and not shame my sons or my daughters for expressing to me how what they're going through. So
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for that. You know what I'm saying? Gave me time to look at some information before I go off. So yeah, like just going on to like everydayhealth.com, it kind of mentions as well in terms of like black masculinity norms that affect mental health of Black men. Something that they talked about was, allow me to verbatimly state it, to be honest with you. Added to these factors of Black men specifically are traditional masculinity roles and ideas across racial and ethnic backgrounds that have caused men to struggle with being vulnerable and sharing their emotions, making them even more reluctant to seek help. A growing body of research and commentary looks specifically at how Black masculinity norms and presumptions affect mental health amongst Black men. So, just to touch on your question, to provide it with an answer. In my honest opinion, like situations like this where me and Fred is being here, just providing like insight as to like what is mental health, providing our own personal experience to those that may relate with us, um, teaching people about ways to just check in with individuals, and just providing resources and experience, providing resources and ways of dealing with mental health. That's the way in which I'm trying to break that norm already. You know what I'm saying? You won't see a lot of people doing this. You know what I'm saying? But to be more specific, as I mentioned with the last question, we're young men doing this too. You know what I'm saying? We're still within our college settings. We're still within our respective institutions, still doing our research, still learning, still growing, but speaking to our own peers that are 25 years below. You know what I'm saying? I'm still 24, still growing. and I still have a lot more to learn. But I think being in settings like this allows me to learn as I grow older, ways in which I could become more vulnerable with my own emotions and speak to those that may be facing that same issue that I was once facing. So that way we can get to a place where they're able to express how they feel so that they can pass that on to the next generation. I love that Fred beautifully said it as well. We are going to be the generation that changes that, for lack of better words, generational curse that we've been going through for so long. Ways in which we weren't able to express our emotions because our parents never allowed us to, and we never found a platform that allowed us to express our emotions. But we're going to be changing that, with time to come. And I think all starts here and starts now.
Wow. Oh my, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and honest right now, and for breaking that curse. Just really amazing, and creating this space. Let's everyone give a round of applause. This was amazing. Thank you so much. This is a very tough topic, and y'all just dealt with it with so much grace and honesty, and just wow, oh my gosh. So give it up to our keynote speakers, everybody. Woo! Yay!
Thank
Um,
y'all.
but real quick, I definitely want to give props and credits to Fred for making that pop-up presentation slide. My man threw that together. Can we please give him his flowers? Along with finding that Zoom, that flyer for the mental health. And that was Fred as well. Definitely want to provide him with his flowers because that's my brother. And I want to give him credits where he deserves, you know what I'm saying? So please give him his round of applause, his flowers and everything as well.
I got to give you some flowers too, man. You really my partner in crime in this. So, right, really, it's you the extrovert and I'm the introvert. So I can do without you. So,
and that's why I love you, bro. I appreciate you.
I love you too, bro. I appreciate it.
That was beautiful. Thank you all. That was great. Oh my gosh. That was amazing. Thank you so much. And dealing with my lateness. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we are going to move on to our panel. Y'all are welcome to stay and watch till the end. If you feel comfortable, you can drop your info in the chat for folks. Thank you so much for being here and sharing space. So we're going to move on to our panel. Our Black mental health panel, and then Aurelia.
Yeah, so we, as Sophie said, we are moving on to our Black mental health panel, which we have awesome UCLA alumni returning to share their experience and volunteer their time with you all for us today. So we do have a moderator, so Dominique Moy. Her pronouns are she, her, hers, and she has also transferred from West LA College in 2013 to UCLA and graduated in 2015 with a degree in liberal arts from West LA College, a BA in sociology with a minor in education studies from UCLA, and a MED in educational counseling from USC. She's also the author of Speak Even When Your Voice Shakes, student affairs professional, and owner of Sister Life Coaching. She's currently pursuing a master's degree of science in counseling psychology, marriage, and family therapy at Mount St. Mary's University, excuse me. So without further ado, let's welcome Dominique, and then we'll also hear from our panelists, and they will introduce themselves as well.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you to the entire CCP family. No matter when you ask me to come to events, I am more than happy to do it. This is like one of my most favorite things to do, and that's to give back to the CCP family. And I'm super excited. I get to moderate. I have the pleasure of moderating this awesome panel. Fun fact, me and Jewel actually did STP together. So we go way back, and that was super fun. And so it's so cool to come full circle and be talking to you all virtually. So this is so awesome. So without further ado, I will be moderating this excellent panel discussion. We have a jam-packed schedule here. So it's going to be 30 minutes total. I'm going to give the panelists a few questions. I'm going to select two panelists for each question. And then at 3:30, I think we're running a little over time, but at around 3:30, we're going to open it up to you all, the audience. We want you to ask as many questions as you can. This is a safe space. As we mentioned, mental health is so important. It is just as important as your physical health. So, and then I also just want to really quickly share with you all a quote to context, to just think about as we're hearing from the panelists. So the quote is, "The strongest people are those who win battles we know nothing about." Okay, so I'll say that again. The strongest people are those who win battles we know nothing about. So oftentimes you see everybody's doing great things, but we don't know the battles each and every one of us are going through, in that just by us showing up, we're winning those battles secretly. So just keeping that in mind. So I'm going to get started with our wonderful panelists. We're going to start off with introductions. So if you all can provide, I'll start off with Brandon Washington. So provide your name, pronouns, community college, the degree you received, transfer institution, post-grad institution, and current hobbies. I'll put this in the chat. Sorry, panelists. It's a lot of stuff. All right, Brandon.
Hello, everybody. Long time no see. My name is Brandon Washington. My pronouns are he, him, his. The community college I attended was Chaffey College in Rancho Cucamonga. I graduated with the AA in communications, another AA in humanities, and a third one, which I can't think of the name of at the minute, which is crazy, but yeah. Currently at UCLA, fourth year as a linguistics major. And some of my current hobbies, I am definitely big on listening to music. I listen to a lot of music all the time, every day, when I'm walking to class, when I'm walking to the BBRC or anything like that. Definitely been enjoying going to a couple art museums recently. I like being out. I just like being out and about. Look, I can't cap. Going to the gym as well. Playing video games, just normal stuff. So that's me.
Thank you so much. And let's go to Joel.
Hey, what's good, y'all? My name is Joel Bourne. I am pronounced she, hers, and they. Community college, I transferred from Santa Monica College, graduated from UCLA, along with Dominique. Again, we go way back, so it's always good to be in good company with her. Got my bachelor's degree in English and Gender Studies, went off and then got a master's degree from California State University, Northridge in higher education administration. Currently a second year PhD student, that's still very weird to say, at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I'm actually coming to y'all from Illinois at the moment, making my way to LA to come home for a visit for a couple of days because it's stupid cold here. And snowing. So, but it's really, really, really good to be in good company with y'all. Some of my hobbies include doing things that are not related to the PhD and not being in class and not doing research, even though I love it, which is why I decided to get a PhD. But really just being in good company with good people who are doing the work is really what I'm enjoying these days. And also just kicking it with my niece and my nephew every time I get, because they are my heart and my world. So yeah, it's good to be in good company.
Awesome, thank you. And Tiffany Pitts.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany, and I went to Los Angeles Valley College. I graduated with my AA in, I think it was called General Social Sciences and Sociology. Then attended UCLA for my bachelor's. I studied African American Studies, which I got my undergraduate in. I also was studying sociology and a minor in international migration. But due to the pandemic, I was one class short. I have 3 children, also pronouns she, her, hers. 3 children that are very active. That's part of my hobbies. I practice meditation, I teach meditation, and I also love being outdoors, anywhere in nature, a new hike, a new mountain. All of that stuff brings me joy.
That's awesome. All right, and our last panelist is Tristan Fowler. Are you here? Tristan Fowler.
Yeah, sorry, I was in there feeding my daughter, but yeah, so I transferred. Oh, my name's Tristan Fowler. I go by he, him, his. I transferred from Pasadena City College to UCLA. I'm currently double majoring in history and African American studies. I hope to go into counseling at the graduate level and hopefully be a community college counselor later on. What else? Current hobbies. I just try to stay as active as possible, like basketball, hiking, biking, things like that. And what else? Yeah, I'm glad to be participating in this and sharing our stories and, and building a community.
I love it. Thank you all so much. So this is super exciting. So I'm going to go kind of out of order here. I'm going to actually direct this question to Brandon and Tristan. How do you define mental health, both from your own personal experiences and as a Black transfer student? Anyone could
go. As a Black transfer student, I mean, there's the elements, you're subjected to certain elements and situations that, cause you to try to learn to navigate and hopefully find like a cohort or community of people that has resources to assist you along the way. I know I definitely did. I wouldn't even be in here in this position without finding community and resources at the community college level and learning how to do the PIQs and just how to navigate like personal life and how it transitions over into like, college and wanting to do more things. But it can be somewhat complex, depending on what you're into and who you cross. So I would say that for the first and foremost.
Thank you, Tristan. All right, Brandon.
For myself, I think I would define mental health as just like the wellness of your being from like a mental and the spiritual aspect as well. Making sure that's taken care of as well, mainly because that's the most important thing, especially following your physical self as well. So, and piggybacking off of Tristan, yeah, finding those resources are very important. I remember going to my community college where I met Dr. Calandros, rest in peace to her. My aunt had told my aunt's a counselor at Marshall High School in Pasadena, and so when I told her I was going to Chafee, she told me to get involved with Umoja. I did that, and she was really great. She was a counselor that got me on track, helped me set up my plan for all my classes. Even just meeting people at UCLA, meeting Jewel, and Jewel was a big proponent of me coming to UCLA as well. Definitely got here. And she was, I think it was the African Diaspora Experience event, I believe, when we met, Joel, I think. I don't know, something like that. But she was like, yeah, we need more Black men on campus, we need more Black leaders. So I was like, I can do that. But even meeting Devon Walker at the time, he was the head of Black recruitment for UCLA. And him and Jewel helped me with my PAQs and so forth and stuff like that. So it's definitely good to meet those people and get those connections as well. And there were people who helped me, aided me in my process as a Black person, as a Black transfer, and my mental health in that aspect as well.
That's awesome. Thank you both for sharing. And the reason I selected you two to answer that question is because you are currently students at UCLA right now. And so that experience, you can really speak to that as a Black transfer student. So thank you for being transparent on that. So let's move on to the next question here. I know it seems gendered here, but I'm going to go to Jewel and Tiffany. I want you to speak to the question that says, when you hear working twice as hard to be seen just as good, what does that make you think about your own experiences, especially in systems and institutions of higher education? Maybe Joel, you could start us off.
Yeah, I'll say this, a couple of things. I used to believe it. I used to believe that it was true. I bought into the myth that that's what it took, right? And I'd grind and I'd compete and I'd needed to be the best in the room because I knew that, because I had this crab in the barrel mentality, right? First generation college student, daughter of immigrants, being not looking like everyone else, right? Not feeling Black enough in spaces because of my Caribbean background, because I'm fair skinned, right? And so I felt like I had to do twice as much to fit in, to get what everyone else was getting. I believe that crap, you know what I mean? And that's not to say that it's not true. And that's the way that society sees Black folks and our experiences, because let's be 100, that is the way they see us, but that's not the way that we have to see ourselves. Right. And that's not the experience that we have to live for ourselves. And so I used to believe it. And it takes radical effort for me not to continue to buy into that myth for the sake of my own mental health and the work that I'm doing with others, with and for others. And so it takes a lot of work to rewrite that narrative in my head on a daily basis. But it is, all in all, like, it's up to a lot of the responsibility falls on us as individuals to rewrite that for ourselves, but also to be there for our communities, to take us out of that space, to let other folks know that they don't have, that doesn't have to be our existence and our reality.
Yes. All right, Tiffany.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jewel. For a long time, I believed that. And I mean, now I know it's a bold-faced lie, but that's pretty much the reason why I ended up being a non-traditional college student coming after I've had kids in my 30s. Going through high school, I just thought college wasn't for me. One, because I was Black. I didn't know no Black people who went to college. My parents didn't go to college. And I just thought, like, I don't even know how I could even work hard enough to get there. And I think it wasn't until I actually probably got to UCLA and was in classes where I was a minority and realized, like, no offense, but some of these people are not that smart. Like, what? You had all these access to resources, you've been working this hard, and you just said certain things that you said. So it's just like a mind game that has been programmed for us to believe that, and it's not true at all. So seeing that and really tapping into who I was and having community, you just realize, like, oh, we all thought that. And we all are like, what? This is not real. So yeah, don't believe it. Don't wait as long as I did to realize, like, it is a lie and you can literally do anything you want to do. That's just something that we're programmed to think. And I don't know why that happens, especially what is it called? Imposter syndrome. That's a real thing. And it's not real, but it is a real thing. And it all stems back to that working twice as hard and having to do this. You literally have the same capability as anyone else. So yeah, just getting the right group and resources that uplift yourself, they feed into you, and you start to realize, like, these things are not true at all.
Yes. I just want to highlight, I love what you said of radical. You had to, I can't remember the word, but you used the word radical to change in how you work against this narrative that you have in your mind of trying to work doubly hard just to be seen as just as good as others. And Tiffany, and what you acknowledged about, this is just a made up thing that unfortunately we fall into based on this expectations, these high expectations we have on ourselves. Because if we think about it, we're battling the stereotypes, the racist rhetoric around who we are or who we think people think we are when we walk in the room. And also I will speak to in my role in higher education, there's also a certain level of trying to overcompensate, trying to show that I can save the world. I'm trying to save everyone. There's a compassion fatigue that also sets in. But that's on the end. And that's something, if you're someone on this Zoom call who's very empathetic, or you want to go into a serving profession, you also have to, on the other end of it, you also have to protect yourself from overexerting yourself to the point where your cup is empty and you can't give anymore. So I just love what both of you said on that. The next question, any two can answer this. This question is, there have been stigmas against discussing mental health within our community, but we have seen it progressively be normalized and embraced over time. Have you experienced any barriers navigating mental health or even recognizing it? How did you overcome these barriers? So any two can say.
I'll jump in first. It wasn't normalized in my family. As daughter of immigrants, again, as I mentioned, as Black folk, right? That's not something you would talk about. It's like, go lay down, you'll be fine. Go lay down and drink a ginger ale, right? Jokingly, but it's made up, right? So I didn't understand that was a real thing until I got to UCLA. Until I started being able to access healthcare. Real talk. Like, I didn't have healthcare growing up. And so even then it wouldn't have been covered. But I mean, I found out that I could have access to therapy. And I hid it from my parents for a very long time because I had no idea how they were going to react to this. And as the daughter of a pastor, that's also super real, right? When we talk about faith in the Black community and in minoritized communities and oppressed communities, I didn't think that would be valid. So I struggled with it, and I hid it from my folks until I actually moved out of their house and it came up in a conversation. And you know, as a result of some of my brother's mental health challenges, and it still to this day is something that my folks don't really talk about, or they're like, Jewel was in therapy. You know, it's not something that they're proud of. So it's definitely, yeah, pray it away, definitely, Laura. So it's still something that's still very taboo, but I will continue to talk about it because it saved my life. And it's what enabled me to be here sitting today, because it was very, very real for me and my experiences at UCLA. So mental health, access to mental health saved my life. And so, but it's still very, very much, I'm walking on eggshells around my family and my loved ones, my immediate loved ones. So yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to that question?
I'll go ahead and speak on it. I guess like a while back, you know, I didn't know anything about therapy or I didn't think that was for me. And it took me ending up in the hospital for what I now know is suicidal thoughts. And it's like, don't wait till that point. And one of my friends who also is Black was like, Tiffany, you know, therapy is okay. And I was like, that was literally the first time I had heard of it. And I'm like, what, really? And she's like, yeah, it helps tremendously. It's not just for certain people. And I did therapy for 2 years. You know, you want to make sure you find someone you're comfortable with, that has good intentions, and that's a whole nother ball game, is finding the right therapist. But it can be a tremendous help, and because of that, you know, I'm a huge advocate on therapy if you can access it, or just community. Just don't do your mental health in isolation. That's the main thing. Like, find someone to at least just talk to or vent to.
I love that. So now that we're talking about community, this transitions very nicely into the next question. So community care is important for our people and important for our holistic health. Who or what has been your community or guiding light throughout your experience with mental health? So let's kind of mix it up. So I'll go with Brandon.
Well, for me, I would say my family, for the most part, my dad and my mother. My father's always been, not to say that they're, obviously with the older generation, there's still some thoughts about therapy and stuff like that, or like there might be jokes or like insensitive things said, but for the most part, my father's always stressed to me about, I remember even being little and like maybe I make like a white lie or something, but he would always tell me to tell him what was on my mind, even if I thought it was something that would make him like upset or something that would make him, I don't know, just feel some type of way. He always told me to say what I needed to say as opposed to holding on to it. So there's for sure that my mother's always kept it. One person I know who will always keep it real with me about anything is my mom, which can also be to a detriment sometimes, but for the most part, it's a good thing. It's a positive attribute of hers. So shout out to Letitia. But yeah, for sure, definitely my family has been my community and my friends as well. So.
Yeah, moms don't play. So, all right. Who else would like to speak to this question?
Yeah, I'll chime in really quick. I'd have to also say my mom and my family. There's oftentimes I do confide in my older brother, because he's walked a similar path and he's dealt with a little more adversity and knowing how to navigate that as well. But having those relatable conversations and people that you have rapport with and that care about you wholeheartedly, definitely you can find a safe haven, or I have, particularly with those individuals. Because life gets hard, things happen, and we don't know everything. We should just try to do the best we can in reacting or responding to situations. But I definitely kind of lean on those two people to help guide me when things get kind of gray.
That's great. Thank you both for sharing. I think it's so important. We talk about self-care a lot, but there's also this idea of community care that we have to tap into. And one thing I love about the CCP family is that, no matter how long it's been, we can always tap into each other and talk and just, pour into each other and just vent. So to this day, I could not speak to Joel because we're busy for years. And I'm sure I could call you at any point in time and say, hey, Joel, let me just vent to you about all the things that are going on within higher education and all that. So, and I'm sure, and the same goes for me. You can call me anytime. Let's see. So, we are going to our last 4 minutes before we open it up to the audience here. I'm wondering if you all can go around just really quickly, just share like 1 minute, answer this question. So from your experience, what practices, resources, and support systems would you recommend to other Black folks or Black students? Just really quick, some quick little resources, that maybe you can even drop in the chat for our students. Anyone could go.
Well, I'll start by saying, piggybacking off of Jewel and Tiffany, I haven't myself been to therapy as of yet, but just through hearing from other people, therapy is one great way to get your mental health right. But I would also advocate for, I guess a little bit more on the self-care side, just doing things that you love to do, just for the fun of doing it, whether it be going to the gym or listening to music like myself, or drawing. I like to draw sometimes, reading for some people. Just getting in tune with yourself in that accord, and going out more, and also treating yourself to something every once in a while, whether it's something small like, I don't know, getting a Diddy Reese cookie, or buying a Telfar bag. I don't know, but something. Just treat yourself. Treat yourself. Don't treat yourself, for sure.
All right, Jewel.
Yeah, yes to buying the bag, because I'm the first person to buy a bag. Anyone who knows me knows that. But I think one of the other things is boundaries, right? Knowing your boundaries and knowing your limits, tapping into yourself before it gets to a place where you don't know what you're doing or where to go, or what, like it takes the time. Sorry, let me backtrack. I'm getting lost in my words. Setting your boundaries before it gets to a place where you can't identify what your boundaries are. And I think that's super important. And that's what's been super important for me. And being okay with saying no. It's okay to say no. You can say no and still care about people and care about yourself, because I tell, it's something I've been saying for years, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so you can't take care of others if you first haven't taken care of yourself. And so knowing what your boundaries are and sticking to those boundaries, even when they're really, really tough. And also, I think that's also just a part of self-care. And yeah, and that's been really huge for me, in addition to everything that Brandon said.
All right, anyone else want to have some quick resources for the students, mental health resources?
For me, meditation has been an amazing resource. I don't need anyone necessarily, but you can also do that with community. Nature, tapping into being present, just getting outside, letting the sun and all the other things that have to do with the environment do its job. And then I'm big on sorry, not sorry, tapping back into boundaries and stuff like that. As long as I know that I'm coming from a pure, loving intention, then, you have to do what's best for you, keeping good energy around you and protecting your space.
Yes. And lastly, Tristan.
Sorry, my son's crying, but yeah, I think overall, I think hold on one second, hold on.
Totally fine. I have a 2-year-old.
I just had a baby, so it's like a new thing. But I think overall, yeah, I try to get outside as much as I possibly can. In terms of like, like tangible resources in regards to like mental health. Not particularly. I don't know, but I just try to talk to family members, get outside as much as I can, vitamin D and sit with myself and reflect as much as I possibly can, to project things forward in a positive way.
Thank you all. That's amazing. And congratulations, Tristan, to you and your family for your little one.
Thank you.
So cute. All right, so now we're moving into the Q&A portion. It is now 3:31. So we have about till 3:40 to get all your questions in so we can ask our lovely panelists who have just a wealth of knowledge. So yes, this is such a beautiful space. Just to go off of Santi's comment, yes. All right, so any questions? I'm looking in the chat. There's such a wealth of knowledge represented in this panel. I guess I'll start it off. I have a question so I guess my question, so this is for everybody, or maybe one of you guys can speak to this. So we kind of talked about this over expectations that we just have high expectations for ourselves to a point where it could be a little overwhelming on our mental health. How have you been able to rationalize or put that in check when you also want to, there's a goal that you might have, but how do you know when your cup is empty? And are you at a point where you've mastered identifying my cup is empty and I'm going to stop what I'm doing, if that makes sense? So one person, anybody can answer.
I don't want to take up too much room, but I'm navigating this myself, as I mentioned, as I navigate the PhD experience. And for anyone who is interested in going on to grad school, come talk to me, Dominique, right? Dominique and I. But I think I have mastered that by having people who keep me in check, who keep me accountable, who tell me to lay my behind down, like literally will tell me that, like, go lay down. Like, you need to sit, you need to take all the seats right now. You are doing too much. So I think, again, to that point around community care, I have people in my life who I've intentionally placed in there and have a vested interest in me and are telling me I need to go sit down, right? And I know that it comes from a place of love because we've built that relationship. So I'm gonna listen to them, and I'm like, okay, maybe I am doing too much. And I think I know, right? But I still want to do it because of all the expectations I have on myself and the burdens that I feel from society and all of those things. And so that, and also I tend to start snapping at people. I will get real snappy, real sarcastic, real agitated with people, and that's how I know. I'm like, yeah, I need to go turn my phone off, and I need to go hide under a dark cover of my blanket for a little while and come back. so I think, but also, I mean, more specifically, right, having people in my life that keep me in check. And I don't like the word accountability so much, but people who keep me grounded.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Jewel. We definitely need that type of person, and a person that we trust to do that, because not everyone we may challenge them, like, why are you telling me to stop? So we need somebody we trust their opinion and their direction on us. Okay, so we do have quite a bit of questions here. So one, Evelyn says, how did you navigate off-campus housing as a transfer and managing school and social life? Anyone can answer.
Well, I can say for me, for off-campus housing, I guess I mean, it technically isn't off campus. It is, but it's a university apartment. But I mean, that was covered by school for me. But in terms of managing school and the social life, it's just like everything else really is a balance. And even sometimes taking a break, like when you can. Because obviously I'm not advocating for, having more of a social life than paying attention to your studies, but there are some times where like you're working so hard and you kind of going back to what I said last couple minutes ago about treating yourself, because sometimes you work so hard, or like you come from a place where like you think you had to work so hard where like you don't sit down and just like, let me close my laptop real quick and go hang out in my living room with my roommates or something, or um I'll come back to this assignment later. Let me go get lunch with one of my friends or something. Sometimes it just takes taking a break, and treating yourself rather than cheating yourself. Like to me, I can't stress that enough.
Yes. Let's see. So the next question is from Faria, who says, did the transfer experience impact your mental health? And we have time for two people to answer this if needed.
I'll answer that. So the transfer experience definitely impacted my mental health. I mean, I thought I had a good grip on it, but I wasn't ready. It literally was not what I expected. I mean, in a good way, because you learn from it, of course, but you're in a new space with new people. Um, it's not like community college was. My first my first quarter, not semester. I was traumatized by one of my professors who happened to be white and said the N word in the class. I mean, I didn't expect that. I researched the class. I thought I was safe. And then I'm one of 3 Black students in this classroom with over 300 students in it. And even the context he said it in made no sense whatsoever. So it was just very shocking to see such a prestigious man has written books. He's well esteemed in the university. And I just wasn't ready for that. But luckily, I had lots of peers that I could talk to about it. And one of my friends happened to be in the class with me, and we actually walked out, and a lot of the classmates walked out with us in protest of what had happened. But just things happen that you just don't expect or aren't ready for. But again, it was a huge learning lesson. Had I known what I know now, I could have reacted in a different way. I didn't know I could challenge the professor in that moment. And rather than going off how I normally would, I decided to leave. So I did what was best for me at that time. But yeah, you just you're in a different world, a different environment. So it's a lot of new things. Just get good people around you is my biggest suggestion.
Yes. Anyone else like to speak to that? I'll jump in. I would say, going back to my experience as a transfer student, I was a part of CCP as a community college student, and I remember how exciting it was to get that acceptance into UCLA. But I don't think that you really understand the different environment until you're in it. And so it was a learning curve for me for sure. Luckily, I had the CCP family, but it's still my own little internal things that I had to deal with. Being in a class where I was the only Black person, in the whole class in a huge lecture hall, that's a little daunting. But understanding that my existence there was needed and that I was more than enough, that came over time. Being able to proudly say that I was from Inglewood, where people were saying, like, looking at me like, oh, how are you from there? And how is it like, saying little comments, microaggressions, kind of dealing with all of that. But at the end of it, really being proud of where I'm from. So yeah, it was definitely, it did impact my mental health in the beginning. So yes, but at the end of the day, I think that I was able to learn the tools to be able to cope, because it just comes in different forms in your life. So yeah. All right, so we are at time. This was so amazing. Thank you all. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Jewel, Tiffany, Tristan. This was an amazing panel. And I just feel so happy to be around other people who are doing amazing things and understanding we're destigmatizing mental health. This is normal. So thank you so much for sharing space.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to our wonderful panelists and of course our moderator, our facilitator, Dominique. Thank you so much. This was really great creating this space. The chat was popping, questions were coming. Thank you, thank you. Transparency, honesty, vulnerability, always hard to do in some spaces, and you all just created that space. So thank you so much for being here and sharing space, all about that space. Thank you. Let's do a round of applause, everybody. Yay. Thank you. So without further ado, thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our moderator. We will be moving on into a guided meditation. Surprise guest, you don't even know who they are. You've never met this person ever before. Totally new person, Tiffany Pitts. Thank you so much for leading this guided meditation. I'm excited. I need it after these discussions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm gonna hand the mic to you.
Thank you. It's absolutely my pleasure to do this. So we'll get right into it. Wherever you are, if you want to lie down, go ahead and do that. If you want to sit, posture is always recommendation. Go ahead and sit in good posture, connecting your crown to source. And we can start by just relaxing all the tension in your body. I'll start by letting you know right away you can do no wrong. Meditation, just the intention or agreeing to sit with yourself is already putting that energy out there. You've done your job. Literally, you can do no wrong. This is pure intentions. All I would like to do is give 3 recommendations. You can use 1, 2, or none of them. Again, you can do no wrong. The first thing is with meditation, our goal is to try and remain in the present moment, each present moment. So that's just tuning in to anything around you, the silence, the noises, your breath, um, smells, any type of senses that are going on around you. Just tune into that. That's keeping you in the present. You don't want to think about past, which could be this morning, an hour ago, a year ago, a week ago, or any future, later today, a week from now, a year from now. We want to try and ground ourselves right now in this moment. Allow yourself to honor yourself, honor your body by trying your best to stay connected to each present moment. Secondly, with meditation, it's a no judgment zone. So if you're getting in a good groove and someone busts through your door or a loud noise happens and you're like, oh man, like there's no judgment. That is your present moment. That is what's going on. We are accepting what is happening in this moment, this now. No judgment for yourself. If you're deep and quiet in meditation and a thought comes in and you're like, I did not want to think about this right now, no judgment. It's just a thought. In this moment, we are safe, secure, have everything that we need. Just let whatever happens, happens. And lastly, the most important thing is to breathe. We breathe, that's what gives us life. It's how we experience every day. We don't usually have to think about it, but in our meditation, if you can focus your full attention and your awareness on the breath, each inhale and each exhale brings you into the next new moment, and that's keeping you present. So just, if all else fails, focus on that breath. Literally feel yourself saying, I'm inhaling, feel yourself saying, I'm exhaling. Don't judge your breath. Don't try to make it do a long inhale, a long exhale. Just see what it naturally does and just watch it. So again, no wrong. You've already set the intentions. The energy is there. Go ahead and relax your eyes by closing them gently. Release the tension in your forehead. Just do a body scan, making sure you're just releasing the tension. So eyebrows, eyelids, cheeks, lips. We hold a lot of tension in our body when we stress and have anxiety. Usually if you're holding tension, your tongue is resting at the roof of your mouth. Go ahead and see if you can relax it and just let it fall. Relax your shoulders, your hands. If you want to be intentional and ground yourself, I put my hands facing downward. If you want to be intentional and receive any type of good energy, any openness, put your hands upward. And if you just want to guard yourself and let your energy flow, you can hold your hands together. But again, you can do no wrong. So as you relax with your eyes closed, just focus on your breath. Each inhale, each exhale, keeping you in the present moment. Again, if anything comes up, just forgive it. Don't judge it. It's literally your present moment. So I'm going to play some background while we go through this. Again, if all else fails, go back to the breath. And I'm going to start us off with gratitude. We just give gratitude for each and every single person on this session. We give gratitude for everyone that had intentions on joining, but life comes up and they weren't able to make it. We're sending them love as well. We give gratitude for every life that is participating in all the goodness that your life brings into this world, all the goodness that your life brings to everyone connected to you. And just go ahead and breathe into that. We give gratitude for the opportunity to sit with ourselves and meditate and allow ourselves to relax. We give gratitude for having the space to practice this and the community that we've created right here and the energy that's flowing. You have people here that love you and care about you that have never met you. Go ahead and breathe that in. You have people rooting for you that have never met you. I know you feel that same way about other people. Just absorb that energy. Again, focusing your attention and full awareness on each inhale and each exhale. And again, we hold so much tension and stress in our bodies. Our bodies are our shells that allow us to experience this life, that connects us to others. So we're going to go ahead and give gratitude with each breath. We often judge our bodies. We expose our bodies to toxins, unhealthy foods, unhealthy situations, and all that stuff rests inside of our body. So during this meditation, try and release that as we go through this scan. Our bodies are perfect. They're doing their job. They're keeping us alive. And just go ahead and breathe, watching the breath move. Again, offering yourself lots of love and compassion. If you're struggling or having any difficulties, now focus your attention and awareness on the lowest part of your body. For me, I like to think of the soles of my feet or my big toe. Focus all your attention in that portion of your body and visualize a light beaming at that point. And that light is full of love and gratitude. And see that light shining more with each exhale. And we're just honoring that spot in our body. Thanking the soles of our feet for walking us through this life, for taking us places where we have beautiful experiences. And go ahead and scan that light up through your body, through your ankles, just breathing in love and gratitude for each organ, each limb, bone, blood vessel. All these things are doing their jobs, and we're just giving love to our own human form. Again, breathing that love and gratitude through your body, moving upward, seeing that light beam. Forgiving yourself if you're struggling or having any difficulties. Creating a space of love and compassion within yourself. Moving upward through your shins. I always stop at the knees. My mom, she has bad knees, and I know it prevents her from doing a lot of the things she would love to do with her grandchildren. So I always give extra love to my knees. May they function for a long life, allowing me to do the things that I need to do. And if you get to a portion of your body that has less than a perfect bill of health, send extra love and gratitude to that organ or limb for doing its job, sustaining the shell that allows you to experience this life. Again, focusing on the breath with each exhale, making that light shine brighter, full of love and gratitude. Moving upward in the body, our stomach, every single part, every single cell, just beaming that light of love and gratitude, honoring the body, honoring this human form. Our fingers to touch, to hold things, to write down beautiful thoughts. Breathing through this, breathing that love and light throughout your body. Forgiving yourself for any judgments you might have ever held over this perfect human form. All these things that we've been conditioned to care about that really don't mean anything. Just take this time and allow yourself to love on each part of this human shell. Spend some extra time in your heart center, where all your loving energy comes from, all the loving thoughts and dreams and desires you have for yourself and others, for the world, for your community, for people you don't know, for strangers. Our hearts are so pure. Go ahead and let that love move through your body, visualizing that light. We're so good at visualizing. If I say elephant or dinosaur or monster that doesn't even exist, you can visualize something. So visualize that light. What color is it? How bright can you shine it through your body? Again, with each breath, breathing more love throughout your body, honoring each portion, each bone, limb, and cell. Our mouth that allows us to communicate, taste wonderful foods cooked by people we love. Our ears, we can hear wonderful sounds of nature, voices of people we love. Just breathing into your own body, acknowledging that breath, that life force that moves us through this life. Again, offering yourself lots of love and compassion and forgiveness if you're struggling or having any difficulties. You can do no wrong. In this moment, you are safe, secure, and have everything you need. Again, with each breath, just breathing that beam of love and light through your body. Our ears. Spend a lot of time breathing that love and gratitude in your mind. Our mind is the source of all our creation. You literally put your mind to something and then you do it. You can literally do anything. You can create anything. And should we be so honored that you share it with the world, it comes from a place of love. Again, focus on each inhale and each exhale. Visualizing that beam of light flowing through your body. That light should be covering your whole entire being. Again, offering yourself lots of love, compassion, and forgiveness if you're struggling. Releasing non-serving thoughts that are not of this moment. We don't need them right now. You can go back to them later if you choose to. And in these last few breaths, let's beat at the crown of our head And just visualize that light beam, that energy of love and gratitude showering over our entire bodies. With each exhale, allowing it to go wider and wider through the walls of your room. With each exhale, beaming that energy of love out into your neighbor's home, throughout the block that you're on. Breathing in, focusing on the breath. Trying to really feel that energy of love, beaming it out, so if someone's walking down your street, they might feel something. And again, we've created a community right here full of love, people who might not even know each other, but they're rooting for you, loving you. All that energy, feel that showering over you. And on these last few breaths, go ahead and take your hands, if you can, and place them over your heart center. We're going to honor those loving thoughts that come from our heart energy. And go ahead and smile at your heart and your mind. You can even say, I love you, heart. Our heart is so strong and so powerful. Even when we do negative things to ourselves, think negative thoughts about ourselves, our heart sustains us with love. It allows us to love others. Thank you, heart. Please stay soft. Thank you for not hardening despite anything that we've been through. It's our natural way of life, is to love and to do things as community. And just go ahead and breathe into that. Our heart space is where we have our pure intentions, our dreams, our desires that come from the source of love. Just go ahead and honor that with each breath, each inhale, each exhale. Again, releasing any non-serving thoughts just for right now. Offering yourself lots of love, compassion, and forgiveness. Focusing on each inhale and each exhale. Loving on our human form. Honoring our breath. And as you're holding this loving space, go ahead and visualize all the faces of the people that you love and care about. They could be strangers that you've only seen once, close family members, friends. Just see their faces without any judgment of who they are or what they've done. Just in this present moment, just visualize their faces. And as you breathe, send them that love, that it might meet them where they need it most. And as we do this, may the universe and source reflect that same love back to us. And with each breath, our heart opens a little more, and allow yourself to receive that love. Again, focusing on each inhale and each exhale, just watching the breath move, allowing the breath to keep you grounded in the present moment, and offering yourself forgiveness and compassion if any non-serving thoughts come up. And they're just a thought. It's not real. In this moment, we are safe, secure, and have all we need. And it's just a thought. We can change it if we want to. And while we're in this loving space, go ahead and visualize any hopes and desires and dreams that you have for yourself, for people you love, for your community, for the world. This energy is full of love, coming from many different sources. Allow yourself, give yourself permission to dream big without worrying about the how, the why, or the when. Just breathe into your worthiness, knowing that you're worthy just as you are. Watching the inhale and the exhale, knowing that if it's true for me, it's true for you. If it's true for you, it's true for everyone. Feel free to dream big for you, for your loved ones, for your community, and for the world. And just breathe love and light into these loving thoughts. Again, offering yourself lots of love and compassion and forgiveness if any non-serving thoughts come up, or if you're having any struggles or difficulties. Ground yourself in the energy of love that we've created right now. You are free to dream big and create any desire that you have, any desire that you have for yourself, for those that you love, for your community, and for the world. And you're supported by all of us. And in these last few breaths, go ahead and release those thoughts. Release them into the universe without judgment, without wondering how, why, or when, creating space for even greater things to happen. Emptying out all the mental ideas that you held and just creating spaciousness for your highest good, whatever that may be, whatever it is that you want. And if you're not even sure what it is that you want, just say in your mind, what do I want? What do I want? Again, focusing on the breath, each inhale and each exhale. Allowing your body to relax without any judgment. And finally, focus your attention and awareness on any fears that you might hold, knowing that we're surrounded by loving energy from many sources right now. And just hold those fears or limitations that you might feel you have. Hold them without judgment. Just hold them for what they are, what your mind has thought they are. And this is a very courageous thing to do, to confront your fears. But this is in a loving space. And let's not judge these fears. We're just acknowledging them and confronting them. And as you hold these fears, simultaneously realize that I'm holding my fear, but in this moment I am safe and I'm secure and I'm supported. And it's just a thought. And just go ahead and breathe into it. Without judgment, hold that fear. And in these next few breaths, go ahead and visualize yourself releasing that fear. See it dissolve into the sky, going up into the universe, releasing that. In this moment, we release all worry, this very moment, for today only, we release all fears. Knowing that if you want to release it again tomorrow, if it comes back, you can do that as well. And bring your attention and awareness back to the breath, watching each inhale and exhale, feeling that energy of love. Again, forgiving yourself, offering love and compassion if any non-serving thoughts come into your mind, or if you're struggling or having any difficulties, grounding yourself in the breath, in this energy of love. Allowing your body to relax, releasing all non-serving thoughts, creating space for new thoughts, new ideas, thoughts serving your highest good, thoughts of lovingness, thoughts of kindness for yourself. And let's go ahead and close with gratitude. Gratitude for our mind, our wonderful mind that can create anything. If you decide you want to go to college, you do that. If you decide you want to do anything, you just got to move, create movement, and not worry about the how, the why, or the when. Just know that you're worthy and deserving, and that you're loved. And breathe into that energy. And may everyone that comes in contact with you feel that energy of love and light. Again, offering yourself lots of forgiveness and compassion for any negative thoughts you might have held, for any lies of limitation or unworthiness, and deciding now to rest in this new loving energy, creating space for new ideas and new thoughts. Honoring yourself with each breath. And in close, I give gratitude for each and every person in this session, wishing us all love and light, hoping that the love reaches you wherever you need it most. And when you're ready, you can come back to reality and open your eyes. And thank you all for trusting me with your mental space. Wishing you guys all the love on your journey in life.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Oh my goodness. I was back there and I was doing along with you. And then I had my eyes closed and I was like, my gosh, wait, if any students come in, I need to pay attention. But I was so relaxed. I know everyone else probably feels so relaxed. And I was just amazing to be a part of, especially after the discussion we had gotten into. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for agreeing to do this and leading us through this. I feel like everyone else probably really loved it as much as I did. I know that when I look at the recording, I'm going to look back at this part and I'm going to go through it again. But thank you so much, Tiffany. You are amazing. And thank you so much for sharing this with us and also exposing us to this. For those of us who have not done meditation before, this was really great to be welcomed into. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here. And thank you for making this an even more beautiful space than it already was. All right, so we are now going to be transitioning. Yes, see, I'm levitating right now. That's how I feel too. I felt like I was floating or something in a whole different plane, not just like my clunky, like messy room. I was transported elsewhere. All right, so like I said, we're going to be transitioning into our closing and announcements. Y'all, this has been such an amazing webinar. Oh my goodness. I'm kind of at a loss for words for how I've been feeling this entire webinar, but it's just been so wonderful to be in this space with every single one of you. I felt so at peace. I felt so connected. I felt so happy. This has been such a highlight and so glad that we've been able to finish off our series with this webinar and just make such a great ode to Black History Month also with this webinar. So thank you so much for being a part of this and being part of this history as well. All right.
All right, yeah, so we have some raffle prizes that we want to raffle off to the students who have been attending our various events this past Black History Month. So our first prize that we have is Black Market Flea tickets. So if you're not familiar with Black Market Flea, it's an event that is hosted once a month where various Black vendors of all varieties, so people who sell jewelry, clothes, artwork, food, skincare, hair care, plants, all of these various people come together to sell their various items, and you can walk around and purchase from these vendors. Most of the vendors are Black owned vendors. Actually, Ariel and I, we went this past month and it was really, really awesome. So we thought it would be a great idea for some of our students to also experience this awesome event. So it happens once a month, but the tickets go out until usually a week before the event. So you won't get the tickets until closer to the event, but we will definitely notify you. Prize number 2 is Reparations Club gift cards. So this is a Black owned bookstore where you can use a gift card to purchase any Black owned books, Black authors, things like that for your personal enjoyment or edification. We also have 2 gift cards for Hilltop Coffee and Kitchen. They have 2 locations, one in I think that's View Park. So it's kind of like View Park. Well, it's on Overhill and Slauson. So if you're in LA, that would be a close one. And then they have another location in Inglewood. And then we have another prize, which is a book all about Love by Bell Hooks, and it was purchased from Esselwan Bookstore. So all of these items are purchased from Black owned companies. So when we do the raffle, we will do it through the next week once we have collected all of the information for all of our participants. So to respect all of yours privacy, we will not be conducting it live or posting names. So if you were selected for the raffle using our randomizer, once we get the final list of all of the participants, you will be notified via email that you are a winner from someone on our team. So either me, Ariel, Sophie, or Brandon will contact you and let you know you're a winner. And then we'll ask for your place of residency, so your current address, so we can mail your prize to you. So you don't have to do anything. You just wait for our notification. The only thing you will have to do is to make sure that you look for our emails. So make sure you're checking your emails regularly. And as I stated before, the Black Market Flea tickets come out closer to the date of the event. So next month, it will be March 27th. So once the tickets are listed, we will be purchasing it and then notifying the person who won those tickets that we have acquired the tickets and give you the information so you will be able to attend that event. Also want to reiterate, we still have our Zoom backgrounds and Spotify information available to you all. So if you really liked our amazing Zoom backgrounds who highlight and pay homage to some Black ancestors, people who are in art, politics, civil rights, all these things. We have these backgrounds for you all. And then we also have a Black History Month playlist that was curated by our STP Black Site team. I will be putting it in the chat again. It's not letting me copy. Let me see. There you are. So I put it in the chat for the Zoom backgrounds and Spotify. The playlist is good. You want it. So just go ahead and save the link.
And if you want to stay updated with our STP / Black Site activities, you can go to our website at powertothetransfer.com. You can also follow the Instagram at CCCP_Black Scholars. And then also we are offering advisement to Black community college students Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesday. And you can find those hours and the rest of our winter activities through March 11th at the last QR code. So yeah, if you are a non-CCCP scholar and would like to request information, you can send an email to our teams, either myself, Aurelia, Ariel. And if you have any questions or would like to request any information, you can always send someone from our team an email. So yeah. My drop-in or advising hours are on Tuesdays and Fridays from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
Yes, and I'm also hosting advising hours on Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And Aurelia is putting those links in the chat.
Yes, I will be putting in the chat right now. I'm just falling a little bit behind, but I'm also having advising hours on Mondays from 12 to 1 p.m. Also, if there's any STEM majors, I'm also the STEM program coordinator. So if you're Black and STEM, then you should be coming to the STP office hours. So we can, have a chat and I can help you with any questions you have. Oh, thanks, Ariel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know if I unmuted myself. Yeah, and my drop-in hours are Fridays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Obviously did not happen today because we have the webinar, but yes, my usual drop-in hours are from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, so a little bit about the CCCP Scholars Program, how you can get involved. So the UCLA CCCP Scholars Program application is open, yay! If you would like to be part of our 2022-2023 CCCP Scholars cohort, you can begin by applying now. The CCCP Scholars Program is year-round, and it begins in the summer. It's currently operating in a virtual format. I was going to say visual format. For our previous cohort, each scholar was paired with their peer advisor, so a UCLA student who transferred from a community college. And throughout the year, they would get to engage with other cohort students from their school and other CCs, come to workshops, some of which are called academies that focus on topics related to transfer, such as financial aid and transfer applications. Receive transfer application assistance, scholarship search assistance, and more. So for this past year in the summer, students were able to apply to Site Plus and Power to the Transfer webinars. So Site Plus is a 6-week UCLA course over the summer, and students receive a 6-week intensive advisement from Site Plus coordinators. Site Plus coordinators and peer advisors, and engage in activities with other cohort scholars. Connect with UC faculty and staff, engage in transfer support and workshops. So for Power to the Transfer webinars, they range from 1 to multi-session virtual webinars. For instance, the STEM webinar is 2-parter. So last year we had 16 such as Men of Color, QT BIPOC, and of course the African American Black webinars, where the focus is on each target community and topics surrounding them, transfer and their transfer experiences, associated resources, We had a Black Resource Fair, community college students and scholars and transfer alumni discussion on the Black student experience. And we've got, great things planned for this year. So if you'd like to learn more information before you apply, make sure to come to our info webinars. Our info webinar dates can be found through the URL that Aurelia actually posted, tiny URL, Power to the Transfer. So if you'd like to apply, please review the program requirements and steps to apply. There are different steps for it if you apply to Sci Plus versus Power to the Transfer webinars at our main website under the Scholars Program Application tab and the Summers Program tab. The application is located under the Scholars Program Application tab. That's a lot of information. If you're like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed, definitely check out the info webinars because we'll be going over the details step by step on what you need to do. So you will also, in addition to that, you will also need to create a UC Transfer Admissions Planner, a UC TAP. And Aurelia will put, oh, she's already ahead of me. She put the link in the chat and you want to update it in order to have a complete application for our program. Only submitting the CCCP application located on our website without creating a UC TAP account means your application is incomplete. So you definitely want to do that. For returning scholars, I see a lot of returning scholars. Those of you who are already current CCCP scholars and would like to continue in our program for the 2022-2023 academic year, you do have to resubmit an application, but you receive priority if you have submitted the application, met the requirements for the current academic year scholars program, and have updated your UC TAP account. Like I said, that was a lot of information. So I would suggest getting started on that UC Transfer Admissions Planner if you haven't done it already. Keep that up to date. And then check out our Power to the Transfer website so you can sign up for an informational webinar, because that's going to be really helpful when it comes to filling out the application. Okay, so here is our contact information, our emails, our Instagram. Our Instagram's a little sparse right now, but it's gonna be popping soon. Thank you so much for being here. This was amazing. I kind of forgot that I was helping host it. I was like, oh wow. And then, there was a break and I'm like, oh, I gotta say something. So thank you so much for being here and being so engaging. Yeah. I'll leave this up for a little bit and we'll hang back in case anyone has any questions or anything like that. But thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tiffany, for being with us today.
Thanks, y'all. My apologies. Thank you so much for coming today. Oh, it's so great to hear. We're so excited. That was awesome. As you know, we'll send y'all a follow-up email with some of the resources and everything that we shared today. So don't worry about not maybe saving all the links that were shared. Like we said, we're going to share it. And hopefully one of you will be one of our raffle winners. That would be so exciting. But thank you so much. If you ever need anything, please contact us.
Thank you guys so much. This is great.
Thanks, Max. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you, Brandon. Thanks, Brooke. Thanks, Evelyn. Thank you, Fariha, Lisa, Tiffany. I think I said Brooke.